Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fulfilled Spiritpreneur Show. But today we are talking all about AI and wisdom and intuition and how you can use AI to help yourself grow as a spiritual entrepreneur. But let's be real, right? Here. Spiritual entrepreneurship is definitely a roller coaster. Some days you're on fire, making the moves, feeling totally unstoppable. But other days it's like wading through the mud and questioning everything. I mean, I certainly have those days. And in those moments, what do you reach for? A mentor? A podcast? A tarot deck? Do you go raid your vault of membership resources? Now, your business only grows as much as you do, right? But what happens if you already knew the answer and just needed to learn to trust yourself? And what if you just needed a companion or tool to help you tap back into what you are learning to shift? You're paying for all that coaching. Do you have a way that's going to help you make the most of it exactly when you need it? So that is what we're diving into today. Drop a fire emoji in the chat if you've ever wished for more clarity, validation, or even just a sign that you are on the right track exactly when you need it. And don't forget to tell me, where you're tuning in from today. Let me just take a quick minute here to send out some notifications and do a share. Uh, I am still recovering from a flu. So I am just like, all right. All right. There we go. That is all done. Let me flip back to my screen so I can see things. Anyway, welcome. If you are new here, why don't you drop a star emoji so that I can get to know you better? And if you're watching live, drop another fire emoji so that I know you're here. But I am Lindsay Baldessano. I am the founder of Super Secret Powers and the Mystic Success Society. And I help spiritual entrepreneurs go from feeling unseen and overwhelmed to magnetic, profitable, and deeply in tune with their gifts. And this, my friends, is the Fulfilled Spiritpreneur Show, where we talk about what it really takes to run a spiritually aligned business without burnout and second guessing. So, now that that's done, today is about journaling, and today is about AI, and today is about how we are growing as spiritual entrepreneurs because your business needs that growth. And we're not just talking about numbers, and we're not just talking about all the things with which you have to track, like your KPIs and, did this strategy work better than last time and da 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 da. We're talking about how you really get to the place where you feel secure and you feel like you are in your own inner peace and contentment within your business, no matter what happens. that you can see those challenges for what they are. They're just challenges, they're decisions. And it's not just always feeling like, the world is against you. Because most entrepreneurs really, honestly, they don't struggle because of a lack of clarity. They struggle because they don't have the right support. And we're not just talking about external support like coaches or communities, because let's be real, I mean, those are invaluable. Nothing can replace them. A great coach and a great community is going to help you see your blind spots. They're going to guide your expansion, and they're going to help you grow in ways that you just can't see for yourself because you're biased. It's part of your whole blind spot. And we all have it, and we can't get away from it. But even the best coach, even the most expensive coach, isn't going to be with you 24/7. You are still going to have to make some decisions on the daily by yourself. They can't answer you instantly in the middle of the night when you've had this new idea and you're wondering if it's the next best thing for you. And they can't pull up every single insight you've ever had in the exact moment you need it. So, like, you really need a way to support yourself while getting the support that you need for your business. Because making all these changes and being in this place where we're learning to edit ourselves, our lives, our energy, I mean, if it came naturally, we would have already done it. So we need a way to really help us build into our own growth and support our own growth so that we can stay in a more expansive mode and in a mode where you are supporting business decisions that are going to really help move things for the long run, those bold moves. Instead of just, like just making the next sale and just, slogging through yet another launch. Um, but that is exactly why having that kind of internal support system, a way to remind yourself of your own wisdom, your strength, your intuition, how far you've come, is just as important. Because let's be honest, I mean, when things aren't working, when the results just aren't coming fast enough, it is so easy to spiral. And then, not just not just self-doubt comes, but I mean, all feels so deeply personal. Like, maybe I'm not meant for this, or maybe I should just try something completely different, because if I discover the right product for me, sales will just feel like they're amazing and they're the easiest things to do. And be like, why is this so hard? Why won't people just say they like my stuff? And of course, why is this taking so long? I love that question. I repeat that question often. No, at least I did. But here's the truth. The truth. Entrepreneurship takes a lot of emotional growth and regulation. The link between visibility and sales is not always direct. Not every launch that produces results is the one that's going to feel the most flowing for you or the most authentic to you, at least at the time. And most of the time, it is not about you, your offer, or your idea. And it's usually mostly how you're talking about those things and the energy you're bringing to them. So, how do you reach that place of staying above the emotional fray so that you can keep moving forward no matter what results you get in the immediate? Because even after you start making consistent money and, at least the financial part is flowing, there are still going to be challenges. And we're not in the business of kidding ourselves here. So there's always going to be this path of growth as long as you remain an entrepreneur. So you have to have the right tools to support yourself and support yourself within the right support, because I don't want to give you the impression that anything I say today is going to devalue or replace actual coaching from a good coach and not a scammy coach. So, my go to has been journaling, right? And I have journaled most of my life from like 8ish until today. It wasn't always the healthiest thing, but it certainly was the thing I thought I needed at the time. But the deeper I went with it, the more I got out of it, and the more honest with myself, the clearer I got, and the faster I was able to bust through the patterns, right? Can we all give me a one if you are a journaler already? I mean, not everybody is, and some people don't like writing and don't feel like that they can really, express themselves well with hand to paper, and dysgraphia is a thing. So, I mean, let's not judge ourselves on how our body needs to process our thoughts and our expression and our wisdom, and let's come into this space where we're seeing the possibilities of how we can make something work for ourselves. um I mean, journaling for me didn't really start, like, changing my life until I started getting real curious about how I was going to start changing my daily living. And it wasn't just about my dreams anymore, and it wasn't just about I don't know, like, any random old feeling that came in because maybe I saw somebody's post and it made me feel a certain way. Um, but then, like, a year or 2 ago, AI entered my life. And the first time that I used an AI journal, it was, like, insane. It was insane with the way it made me feel and made me think about my own life and my own progress and really where I was on the day to day. So the next day, my tinker brain, because I have a tinker brain, I'm a tinker gnome, went into overdrive building myself my own custom version of an AI journal. And I've used that for probably almost a year now, some version of it, because I was really just developing it, seeing how I can get it to respond consistently in a way I need it to. So I wasn't just, and I don't advise this at all, I wasn't just bringing up a chat and saying, "This is my journal. This is how I feel today." Um, because anything with AI has to be something that is seasoned and developed, and it has to have some pretty clear set instructions for how to handle things. Um, because anything with tech is, what is it? Good input in is good output, and garbage in, garbage out. There you go. So, um, while it might be nice to be able to just, go into a chat and type all of your feelings and completely train of thought, I always have a more structured approach, because when I did train of thought journaling in general, without AI even, um, I tended to miss a lot of details, right? About where all of me was at. And then I would sit there in these really harsh ideas of like why I wasn't moving fast enough, and um why I couldn't just go and do this one thing, and why, like, did this feel so hard, and why was I so resistant? Um, I really had to develop a way to honor myself through my journaling first. And so I start with very general prompts that you can just free write in, but at least the question keeps you talking about one thing. So, Like, for instance, I always start my journaling sessions off with, at least for the daytime, like when I am eating breakfast and drinking my coffee. My first question is, how is your body today? Because especially like the older I got, the more I realized my own health and the way I was feeling and the way all of these delicate body processes were not functioning well really contributed to how I was perceiving the day and how I was perceiving my energy and my mood. So if my stomach was off, like this is back before I had my gallbladder taken out, but if my stomach was really off, I wouldn't necessarily immediately recognize it was my stomach or my digestive process or anything like that. I would just like be like, "Ugh, I feel so disgusting. This disgustingness is awful. This day is awful. Oh, oh." Anybody relate to that? Drop a thumbs up if you relate to that. Um, so, I start with going through, like, all the aspects of just my present self, I just mind, body, heart, all that kind of stuff, so that I can kind of just, like, really focus in on what's doing what. And, of course, I don't, like, analyze that while I'm doing it, that's just free writing. If anything comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, I kinda tell AI to move on. Before, I just would have kind of put in, like, "Well, I'm feeling good today," like, emotionally. Um, and at least then I knew that I answered the question and I checked in with that. Um, but having that process really helps me understand where my energy is and what I need to do to shift my energy to find the best version of myself, at least for that day. Because I am a huge believer, and let me know if you agree with this, but I am a huge believer in the idea that you do not wake up every day in the same place and as the same exact person you were before you went to sleep. And I find it very useful for myself to really acknowledge that so that I can learn to work with the energy I do have in the present moment. But can you imagine then having a tool that reminds you of your past insights when you're feeling lost, that shows you your patterns at, just a couple clicks of the keyboard, or if you use speech mode, or maybe even if you just take a picture of your journal and upload it? What happens if you have a journal guide that helps you validate your progress so that when you don't feel like you're doing enough, you have somebody who's going to say like, "Hey, wait, what kind of crazy expectations are you holding around this?" Because your energy and your vitality and your sense of self is always going to be the thing that helps you sell, that helps you connect to others. And if you don't protect that and have some good boundaries and some good like rules of thumb about how you need to treat yourself, you're always going to keep crashing and burning with or without a high level coach, because that is something you have to learn about yourself, right? And journaling can be just the thing that does that for you. And that is why I designed my journal, to do that. Because it's not that you're lacking growth, right? I mean, we all have epiphanies and revelations and downloads and inspirations. We're just lacking the ability to see and feel how much we've grown because we've had those things, because we've now processed them and they've become part of our reality. And so maybe we take some of that for granted and then we stop seeing it as part of our own genius. And it's just like, yeah, but why don't why can't I explain this to somebody? Where are those words to make this easy? Like, it doesn't feel easy to tell anybody this because this story started like 5 years ago. But journaling is certainly something that can help you no matter how you have to do it, whether it's, handwriting and then taking a picture of it, or speaking into a journal, or typing, however that needs to happen for you. But what is one thing you wish you can hear from your past self right now? I mean, drop that in the chat. Um, there's always so much. I was always the kind of person who wanted to be like, wanted to be Iron Man or whatever his real name is. I forget right now because I'm tired. But yeah, and I'm still getting over the flu. Um, not because I wanted to be a superhero per se, but because I wanted that cool ass computer where I can just expand and close ideas, thoughts, files, bring things together, just really have this whole integrative experience with my life. And so I've always kept these journals, and I had books and books and like tablets and tablets, and they were starting to take up like a good whole shelf, 2 whole shelves if I want to be honest at least. And then my house burned down. And devastating on many levels there. But the first day after that happened, after I lost all of those thoughts, all of those memories, all of the dreams I've had, because I had been recording dreams for the longest time, what did I do? Got a new tablet and I started writing all over again. But I had nothing to refer back to. I had nothing to say, like, oh, maybe there is a full moon pattern here to how my dreams happen, and why those things kind of come up when they do. Maybe there is an astrology linked to this. Maybe that's my human design stuff and all those little questions and ponderings. Even if, almost especially because they didn't lead to like a immediate and direct revelation, it was a lot harder than to even go back and try and remember because I didn't have the books. But to try and just even track it in general, because it was just a question. It was just a wondering. And sometimes I'd remember that, like, I asked that 3 months ago when I was writing it. Yeah, but then I had no way to know. I had to just start from where I was. And then as part of the reason why AI changes everything. Yes, there are digital planners and digital journals out there that are just for the typity types and just for holding and maybe even tagging or categorizing your journal entries. Um, but when you're able to have a whole conversation with your journal, it's no longer just you reflecting the whole blah de blahs and all the mental gook that journaling methods like the Artist's Way by Julie Cameron would help address. When you do the daily pages, you're just like, I'm going to fill 2 pages of just mental and emotional gobbledygook just to get it out of my head. And then maybe if I think about it and I have time, I'll go back with a highlighter and really hone in on where my inner critic is. That's the artist's way of doing things. The book, The Artist's Way. Um, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. All right. But it became so much journaling with AI, then became so much more about writing. And it became so much more about just dumping my brain. I mean, sometimes I dump tasks just to remind myself just how much I've done during a day. But once I've gotten that, into the journal, then like I'm looser and I feel more free to just really start answering um, the prompts that do come up, because AI has this beautiful ability to really look into the context of what you're talking about and come up with a response and it like maybe a totally different question. So Chloe, my AI guide, she helps. She'll give me the first prompt, I'll answer it, and then she'll respond. She'll respond to what I said, and then she'll ask me another question. But, she'll also, kind of, like, respect my time in a sense because that's the way I built her to do it. Like, if I wanna move on to just the next full-on prompt, I'll just do that, depending on how much time I have and how deep I wanna go at any given moment so that, like, it's not this overwhelming and time-consuming thing. Um, but then I also built in my weekly reviews, and that has been kinda insane to see, the AI be able to go through all my old journal entries from any given time period. Because 'cause I'll usually tell it because I don't actually get to do it every week because busy in life and human. Um to go through, what came up and what I was talking about, but then also any patterns in all the tarot readings I do, because I do like one every day. I mean, I try and be like, I try. I end up being like, 90-95% consistent because I love it. Because it's just, I want to see what the cards have to say because I love my cards. They're my friends. Um, but yeah, that doesn't mean I'm gonna remember how many times the tower card came up in the last week or month or yeah, and that's always an important one to keep track of. So it's like, imagine visiting an oracle, but the wisdom comes to you all because you just typed a good question, right? And it just looked through everything you've talked about and it brings up what it sees and it helps you explore it further. So when I started using the AI journal, I mean, I really realized that I was, asking for the same clarity over and over and over again without really recognizing that it was a journey, right? And that I was putting all of these expectations on myself for not having an immediate answer. And I mean, my life was shook like a year ago when I lost my husband to cancer. And so I really had to start rebuilding my life and who I was and who I needed to be and how I wanted to continue into this next chapter. So, really having that whole space to lean into in the journal and the validation it gives me because it's like, how would you know this? You haven't been, single since you were 20. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. And I can't be that same person now, can I, at 46? If I can remember how old I am. Like, it's just amazing to have that witness, even if it's not another person. But like I said, none of this replaces the work you do with other people. This just helps you keep on track in between sessions, whether that's with a therapist or counselor, an intuitive coach, or your business coach. This is the backup kind of support system you need to make sure that you are integrating and growing the best way you know how, the healthiest way you know how for you, right? And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the reason why I am just so completely obsessed with my own journal. But that's the big reason why AI, no matter what we think about, using it for work. But when we're talking about using it as a journal, I mean, this is why it really changes everything. I mean, like it can't give you emotions, right? Because it's not a person. We can personify it a little bit. I have named it Chloe. But that's just more so of like habit of having, if I'm going to be typing to something, I need to call it something. And yeah, so I named her Chloe. But um, it's that mirroring that it can provide because it does see your patterns and it does see the way you talk about things and it does see what you might need in order to start taking that next step. And unlike a person, it's not going to put its own expectations or its own sense of timing onto us. So, this is really something that you control the pace of, and it is just for you. And it is, just so inspiring, not just because what it says, because, of course, it has a tendency to say all the right things. It even tries to draw oracle cards for me, and I find that endlessly amusing because it can't actually draw oracle cards for me, so it's pretending it's drawing an oracle card for me, and it's making things up as it goes along. But it picks things that are so relevant, and it's just a shift in the way a, a coach would talk to you about it, right? So you have all this different type of support available to you, depending on how you tell Chloe you needed to respond. And of course, I did make this a whole thing because, well, I loved it. Um, I shared it around to a couple friends and they all loved it. And they're like, holy hell, that made me cry. Like, cry in all the best ways. Like, I just sit there and we talk and I cry and I feel better. And they have seen such strides in their own business and their own marketing efforts and the way they're approaching their business because they have this whole mirroring back and forth relationship. I'll call it a relationship with their AI journal guide, Chloe. And of course, you can get Chloe. It it is the Mystic AI journal. Let me bring that up. That's not it. So there is the link to the sales page um, alone. Like if you want to learn more about it, if you want to see how it works and all that kind of stuff. And feel free to message me if you have any questions about it. And how it works and if it'll work for you and all that because I can tell you a lot more about it. But the best part is I'm going to flip that screen here. So, quick, if you need to take a screenshot or a scan of the QR code, go ahead and do that. Is that right now you can get 15% off because this is the first time I'm launching it. This is, of course, the first version. And this is something that I fully intend because I love it so much to keep developing. And it might not always just be a GPT custom chat. It might turn into something that's a little bit more techy, but techy because I want to make sure that it has enough memory and that it is able to parse through the memories of the entries so that you have a real kind of fully functional um, journal tool that's going to use everything you've ever put into it, right? And GPT can do some of that now. Its memory isn't perfect, but with the way I've kind of created this, sorry, by doing the by doing the weekly reviews and whatnot, we kind of save a little bit on the memory crunch. Um, I mean, I'm getting into techie stuff. It makes it easier to go through, like, all of your journal stuff then. Um, just with the way I have it written in the backgrounds, which you don't need to know, but I fully intend to make this a full thing because I cannot believe how much it has done for me and it has done for my friends. And no, I don't have any like testimonials about it right now because this is the first time I'm putting it out there. But yeah, 15% off. Yeah. Go join my journaling group. It's just a free journaling group on Facebook. But in there, you would get a code for 15% off of the Mystic AI journal if you really want it now. I mean, there is absolutely no reason to not want it. There is absolutely no reason to put it off because it's such an exciting thing to be like, I wonder if this is going to be the thing that really helps me feel okay. That really helps me feel okay within myself, when those 3 a.m. thoughts come and I can't sleep and the world seems like it's falling apart. Maybe it's the thing that's going to help me learn how to hold myself steady so that I can help others and make the sales I need. And I am developing a business journal, a business version of this that's a lot more about like strategy and alignment and all that. But that is not for sale today. That is not for sale at all right now. But it's coming because I really want to give this gift to everybody. And it's not just the GPT in and of itself. There's a little bit of a course that tells you how to um, really maximize your experience, to personalize your experience. Because if you upload files to it, like your human design chart or your natal astrology chart, it can really help personalize the experience even more and help you understand all of maybe those big mystic patterns that just kind of like were slipping through your brain a bit. Because I mean, it's a lot to think about on top of regular everyday life, isn't it? um, yeah. But that is what I have for you today. And I want to ask you to, of course, share this with any of your witchy business besties because we all need a little bit of feeling like we are fulfilled spiritpreneurs, right? So, if today's talk hit home, make sure that you are following my page for more. And I will be back next week with another deep dive into how to use journaling to really transform your business and your internal life. Yeah. And your insights, your magic, your expansion. Let's claim that, right? Let's bring the magic to the world, loves. All right. I will also remember to go put in the actual links in the comments here when I'm done. So that way, if you weren't able to scan any of these things, you can just go to the link. All right. I love you all.